Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Comics Pals Book Club. But this one may look a little different.
Uh-oh.
Not by the makeup of our wonderful group of people here. We have Kale,
What's up, hot dog?
Marco,
Oh, vroom, vroom.
and the newest weeb to join
Whoa.
the fray,
Whoa,
Mr. Sean Bartley.
Hey now,
Sean.
listen.
Hey
Don't
now.
throw words like that around so easily, man. Be careful.
Gonna have him at Weeb Central on the Discord real soon.
Ooh.
Watch your mouth, buddy.
He's gonna be in there kicking people out of the Discord.
I've been tempted.
You've all put yourself in one place. Now I can find all of you.
Yeah. Am I the only person who this was their first time reading this? Just out of curiosity.
It's my first time, even though I'm hosting. It's my first time. Yeah.
Okay.
Say what it is, by the way.
Yeah. So it might look different because we're not doing a traditional, I guess, a Western superhero big two comic book. We're doing a manga. We did volumes 1 through 3 of Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto.
That's why when you're listening to this, you'll be listening to it backwards, going the other way.
I wanted to actually start at the end of this as well.
Yeah.
Because I read this book backwards twice. No, I
Like
literally,
by mistake?
I read volume 1 backwards, then volume 2 backwards, then volume 3 backwards, which is very confusing because
That's
at
not
least
true.
it's in the order. No, it's not. That's not true. I do have issues though. I have to
bet.
recalibrate myself every time I open up a manga though.
I bet it still fucking slapped.
I mean, we'll talk about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it still was the same book, honestly, even read that way. Maybe the origin story might be a little confusing, but yeah. So this is first manga as a book club. Is that
Maybe second or
Did
third?
Uzumaki.
Uzumaki? True.
That's right. Wow, we
Yeah.
did that a long time ago.
A while ago.
Well, I guess first one with me on the show.
That's what matters.
And we did so previously. If you guys are listeners of Pals Pulls, you can go and search for this if you find this podcast episode 20 years from now. But we did Fujimoto's Goodbye Eri as well earlier in the year, which we were all pretty hot on, honestly.
Even me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
good.
Good story's a good story.
Yeah.
So for me, this is one of those books where it has been a hype thing mostly. Like everyone's telling me, like, oh, you gotta see the baby, and you gotta read Chainsaw Man.
They're watching a
It's-
little Seinfeld, huh?
It's in my veins, Kale. You know, like every time I eat pretzels, like I can't help but say
Yeah.
they're making me thirsty. Like it's New York. But yeah, so everyone has been telling me to read Chainsaw Man for months and months and months. And I guess I used both the sway of the listener, thanks to the Patreon, where you can actually vote for this, and this won pretty quickly. It became in the lead. Some little dark horses in there. But I used this as my pick for the Patreon vote, so that I could be forced to read it, because I don't know when I would get to read it otherwise. But it did win. So thanks, patrons, and thanks people who, I guess, just joined the Patreon at patreon.com/thecomicspals to vote for this, because there is at least one person who's admitted it. But that's something you could do. And so let's just do general opinions off the bat. This is going to be spoilers for volumes 1 to 3. I have purposely not gotten past 3. 3 ends on a fucking cliffhanger, but I purposely did not read into 4, even though I wanted to. But let's. I want to hear some general opinions on it. So let me go with someone who I think would be pretty obviously into this. Marco, how'd you feel about Mr. Chainsaw Man?
So, I was very excited to return to the world of Chainsaw Man. I did read this as the Discord, I think, initially jumped on the hype. I want to say with Manny and Matt first recommending it, and then Kale and Harris, and just like people just joined on, wrapped up in some of the hype. And, you know,
Interesting.
Yeah. I felt a bit lower on this than when I initially joined. I think like the buzz around it kind of made it exciting, and you got to about it to people, especially this the cliffhanger at the end of this, where I feel like the story really starts to kick off. And I think it's one of my critiques of manga is that sometimes they're slow to get into and slow to really build up to the point that matters. And I think the book suffers from this, and it's a detriment to an otherwise really good story, because it would be hard to get somebody in on the ground floor if you're telling them, well, once you get past 24 issues, you're gonna fucking love this, right? And so yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more, but initial take was, you know what, it wasn't as hot in it this time.
So you bought into the hype originally. So everyone's like, yo, Chainsaw Man, you got to read this, you got to see the baby, and you liked it. Reread for the show. You still like it, or it's just like, eh?
I still like it, maybe not as much as I originally did, and I think that the introduction to this, I think, hurt the story. It impacted my reading of it this time.
The introduction to like just this volumes 1 and 2 are pretty much the intro, right there.
Right. Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. There's a pacing issue there.
Kale, what do you think of it?
I love it. I was one of those hype people, and there's, to be honest, there's very few things that I just purely love and cannot stop reading. And Chainsaw Man was one of the few things that I could not stop myself from reading. When it originally came out, I was binging nonstop, and then when I caught up, it was murder. So getting to reread it is a thrill, and I still found it as good. I do agree with Marco that the introduction is slow, and that's why I suggested these 3 volumes.
I'm glad you did. Yeah.
Yeah, because to me it doesn't feel like the premise until the end of volume 3. And I really, really wanted to hit that. But for me, even early on, like knowing what I know and getting to see it, and then getting Fujimoto's like crazy page turns, I'm enthralled. I love being back in it again.
Okay, Sean, I'll get to you, because I think our listeners and viewers and patrons and Discord members are all interested in what you have to say about this. In fact, I think most of the questions are directed at you. But so I'll just say, for me, I like this. I thought it was fun. Contrary to most beliefs, there was a time in my life where I did read a lot of manga. I read a lot of Naruto. I read Bleach, ton of Bleach. Never got One Piece. I hear it's not much of it though, so maybe I'll catch up. And I would. What was the other one you used to read?
Death Note.
No, it wasn't. Was it? I think it was Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I think that was the other one. It might have been.
Tyler, are you a convert then? I
wouldn't say there was anything to convert really, because I want to talk about the because this is, I guess, the one of the first serialized manga. This would be the first serialized manga we're talking about on the book club.
Yeah, sure.
So I do want to talk about formatting in a bit. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm not. I was ever against it. I would meme about it, sure, but I did recognize its place in things and its use. And for something like this that's as stupid as this book, and I mean this, I call Chainsaw Man stupid, endearingly. I think it is the premise of it is dumb. The main character is an idiot, but because of that, I had fun. Like, I think this is just like good, turn your brain off fun. And I guess that's my overall thoughts on it. But as he takes a swig, Sean, I guess you had to take that swig to talk about
Yeah.
this. Unless you surprised me. You've done that before. But what were your thoughts on Chainsaw Man?
Okay. So, as you guys know, me and Manga, not a mix. I had to go to the store. I had to go to Midtown Comics. And for the first time in my life, I had to buy a manga. I had to do it. And they only had volume 2, so that's the one I got. Which means, Kale, you're muted. Which means that I then had to go to ShonenJump.com or whatever.
Forget it then. We can shut this down. We know where this is going.
And I had to read it digitally.
Okay, Sean, you got to stop going to Midtown. They keep screwing you every single time.
Listen, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
I hated Chainsaw Man more than anything else that I like.
Okay.
So the strength of your hatred for it outweighs any strength of things you've loved.
No,
Oh, okay.
I hate it, right? But I liked it.
What? Whoa, hold on a second. Wait.
I hate it,
Yeah.
Sounds like my
yeah.
previous
but I
marriage.
liked it. Holy shit.
Actually, this sounds like a lot of the characters in the book, which is the theme that we will talk about in this. Because this seems a little masochistic, Sean. But
It's dumb.
yeah.
Yep.
It's really badly written. The art is not always great. The pacing is rough. There's a lot of problems. But, and it's gross and not funny, and I hated all that. It's immature, it's juvenile. But when I got to the second volume where they're fighting in that room,
The Eternal.
level
hotel.
8 or whatever,
Yeah.
right? The hotel. And shit got rough. I realized that I cared.
Yep.
Oh, whoa.
Knew it. Yep.
And then I was like, fuck.
And you hated
All right, I
yourself
guess
for
I
it.
like it. But I
Yes.
fucking hate it.
And
No way.
that's
Yo,
exactly how it hit me the first time.
Kale, take that shit to the bank like right now. Holy
That's
shit.
surprising. It's surprising and also not surprising. Because I think the first thing I want to get into is the idea of shonen manga. This would be considered a shonen, right? Right, Marco? Yeah. Young
Yeah.
protagonist.
It's also
hero.
on the app.
Yeah.
Like it's part of the genre-wise, and it is part of the serialized.
Sure. Yeah,
publication.
I was talking genre, but yeah, for sure. But this is very cookie cutter shonen manga opening of a story. It is introduced the character. He's brash. He's a little abrasive in a way, naive. He gets some kind of call to action and a power set, and then he faces off against
and that thin premise is 5 pages, and then you get the rest of the story.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that premise is like the book world builds. It says this is a world full of devils, and not demons, specifically devils. It could be a translation thing. But a world of devils, where each devil personifies either an idea, an object. It personifies something. We have a blood devil in this. We have the eternity devil. There is the gun devil, which is haven't gotten there yet, but it's mentioned in this. And our POV character Denji is a devil hunter. He is, I guess, tasked by, I believe it was the Yakuza, to be like their go-to devil hunter.
Yep.
To pay off his dad's debt or whatever.
Oh.
But within like the first 2 issues, he gets brutally murdered, and
Yeah.
chopped into bits.
Yep.
But he kind of forms with his pet devil, which was like a chainsaw little devil, Pochito,
Yep.
I believe,
Yep.
and
Best boy.
becomes this hybrid kind of character. So it's always like, I think Shonen too, it's always like the main character has like something special about them that the other characters don't have, which usually causes tension. You know, Naruto, it's like the Nine Tails. Goku is like he's the only Saiyan right now. That's my tangential knowledge of shonen manga. But yeah, and then we get like so this is where like pacing comes into play for me. Like I was seeing the blueprint maybe a little too much early on. I was like, oh, this is just like every other. This is like every other manga I've read in the first couple volumes, which like was I guess a pro and a con for me. It was a con in the sense that I was noticing it, and I was feeling like, all right, wonder who our first big bad is going to be. That is going to be easily dispatched to show off our character's true form and power set. Oh, it's this bat guy. Here we go. It's the same as it's like the first Titan in Attack on Titan, you know. But seeing that format didn't take me out of it because it was fun. It was stupid. And that's what this book is. It is kind of stupid. But because of the way the pacing works, it's not traditional American comics. If you are watching or listening to the show, this is weekly, I believe, right? These things come out weekly. Shonen Weekly is where it's released. Yep. So issues are a little shorter. Issues are... I don't even know if I can say like
18 to 20 pages usually.
Roughly, yeah, but they're only like 4 panels on each page or so.
Yeah,
because the physical format of a
estate.
volume is the pages are much smaller. I actually read volume 3 because my physical copy of volume 3 didn't come in time, but I read volume 3 on my phone.
Oof.
And honestly, pretty good experience.
Oh,
I had
really?
no issue with it. Yeah. It was like a one-handed thing. That's okay. That sounds weird. Other hand was underneath the pillow. I was like, come on, hand check. But yeah, it was fine for me. Like I think that kind of lends itself to it. But the fact that the pages are smaller, things move fast in this.
Yeah.
The speed at which the story progresses is very fast. You can chew through these volumes because of the way it's formatted. But it also feels like, oh, I've read 3 volumes of something and I only just got the idea of who the main villain is. So it's very... Is decompressed the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, in that you could have made this shorter. You could have paced this out to be even a bit more expository.
Well, I don't even think it should be that. I'm just saying the format of manga lends it because it's weekly. You kind of have to get a lot in those weekly things. It's a lot and a little at the same time.
It's something that, like, for example, fights get cut off, where I feel like in Western comics that doesn't happen. Where in this we're about to get into a fight, and then it's happening between 2 of our characters. Then in the next issue, it's still kind of happening. I feel like you don't always get that. It's usually over, a third act of a single issue or part of the event, and it's contained to an issue a lot of the time, I feel. Whereas this, I feel like it got spread across issues, which made things feel longer. Like the fights could have been condensed. I think some of the initial interactions in each of the spaces, like for the Eternity Devil, could have been condensed. And I think the way that they are, it works. But there are ways to be, I think, a little more efficient for the sake of the storytelling. To Sean's earlier point, right? Like the writing, I think, needs a little bit of work.
Cal, did you notice anything with that? The pacing of this compared to what we were previously read, or what we usually read, rather?
I guess the meeting Power and rescuing her cat and the whole arc about the bat guy. It's interesting, but it's not essential.
That's funny. I like that better than the Eternity Devil, actually.
That's insane, and
Yeah.
I'll kill you. Um,
Wow.
Well,
but
if Kale kills Marco, then he gets let out of the hotel.
yeah.
Oh, right.
But
Oh,
so it, to that aspect, it's sort of that thing of like, I've said it several times, and Marco said it earlier, that it shouldn't take 24 chapters to get you into something. You should be in. Fujimoto should be reeling you in from chapter one. And I guess my thing with this is like, I did really like it, but had I been following this weekly originally, I probably would have bailed.
interesting. Even though it felt like it was accelerated, like reading it all at once.
E-
I feel like
Yes.
that would be the thing for me of just like, I know that it's trying to get to a thing at some point, and so it's plowing through a lot of this. And weekly feels like less of a commitment than a monthly does. Oddly enough.
Yes, I do agree with that, but it's also, it's remembering that it comes out. It's doing all this stuff. For me, especially with manga, I think I would rather do big chunks of the story at once,
Sure. Yeah.
to sort of get my fill, I guess.
For me, like with Western comics, you can see when it's written for the issue or for the trade. We talk about Saga being or written for like the issue cliffhanger, but like the big two, kind of, you can see how they write for the trade. Like an arc fits in a trade. This feels like neither.
Yeah.
Like as I read these issue by issue, I'm like I don't feel like, oh, this is a full issue. Like I want to go right to the next one, but then when I'm at the end of the volume, it's the same thing. So it's almost like it's just here's my whole story.
Yeah.
Let's just chop it up to fit page count. It's written for page count, really. It feels like, rather than an actual format, which is addicting to read at once, which probably helps. Do you know how quickly I wanted to look at buying Volume 4? Very quickly. So I think it helps sales, but it's just something I'm not used to.
I got through this very fast.
Yeah.
And not because I was just, breezing through the pages. It's an easy read, and that made it easier. It's weird because, and we should get to like talking about the actual story and stuff. But I cared about the characters, even though I felt like the dialogue was lacking depth almost all the time. And I can't really explain that. Like, I don't think the dialogue was good. And I don't think that it really does a great job of like explicitly saying who these characters are, but seeing them go through stuff, seeing their interactions, you kind of get invested. Like, it caught me off guard that I was invested, but I was, it was weird. I think Volume 1, the way it introduces Denji, that was the most, when it started, I was like, wow, okay, this is actually kind of good. Because it starts with this kid who's, basically homeless or whatever, who doesn't have anything going on, but he's got this, cute monster that follows him around that he made a blood pact with. Like there's
cats.
cool stuff there. It was like, it kind of reminded me of Pokemon a little bit. Like, there was cool stuff. And it had something to say, I thought, like, about, the culture of work, overworking, violence. Like, there were some themes. And then he just turned into this horny asswipe.
Yeah, then you turn the page over, and I think I took a picture of this page and sent it to listener of the show, Matt Murphy, where he's just playing in the dirt saying, "I want to touch some boobs," and I'm like, "Yo, he just like me for real," like.
You turn
Like,
13
it went from,
and
like-
stuff happens,
Yeah. But I agree. It is. There's I think tonally with the story. I mean, the story really revolves around Denji wanting to get goals. Like his goal is to have goals,
Yeah.
and all of his goals are pretty much immature. It's hey, I want to touch some boobs. Oh, I want to kiss someone. Oh, I want to have sex. And then it's just like, oh, now I want to kill God. Like it just goes from I want to touch some boobs to I want to kill the strongest.
Well, it's
devil
all
in this
short
world.
term. It's all short term goals because
Yeah.
he doesn't have he never thought he would live this long.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting too is the way Denji evolves. Like it's what you're describing has always sort of been my problem with Denji. Like I don't like Denji, but as the story progresses, like you get interactions with other characters just as his goals progress, and you start to see other characters and how they're more interesting than him. You know, like I think Aki is a really good character, and you know, his whole story is really impactful. And so, you know, when you see that Denji gets his first boob touch or whatever, and that goal is accomplished, that's when you're introduced to Aki, and Aki has more complicated of a story, and he starts making connections. Denji starts making connections to other people as the story progresses.
I mean, I guess we can transition over to Aki as a character because I think it's again a typical shonen thing where the brooding side character is the more interesting one. For me, like Sasuke in Naruto was always like that. Same for Vegeta, in my opinion. But it fits that archetype well, and because it fleshing out Denji's cast of characters. Makes him more likable in return because he gets to play off that. Because the character himself is shallow, both in personality and in goals.
Borderline unlikable, frankly.
I think he was so shallow he turned around to go back to likable for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just skipped
Yeah.
right over it. So like Aki is like one of those characters where like we got his whole backstory in like like half of an issue.
Yeah.
And we know his ultimate goal. Like we got everything much quicker than we did with Denji. And you feel for him. And he actually, even in these first 3 volumes, that character that only gets introduced maybe well into volume 1, he has character growth too. He has more than Denji in some places. You know, his ability to grow and realize he needs help is something you would think would take forever for a character like that, but we get that by volume 3.
I think it plays into these overall like shonen archetypes that like you know what you're getting with coming to a shonen book, and it's gotta be like Denji is unlikable. He's the protagonist because it's his story, right? You don't need a reason beyond that. It's gonna be his story, and whatever adventures follow, it's gonna be in the frame of, well, this is a person that as a young reader you don't want to connect with. Like you're probably the same way, like, you know, towards the audience that this is being catered towards. You're a horny 16-year-old kid who's sometimes an asshole, right? Like this is the character, and we're supposed to make it unlikable because we don't want you to be that. And something
Should I have not been seeing myself in Denji? Oops.
It's the character that you put out to be like, this isn't the nicest guy. And Aki is, you know, he's quiet, he's maybe not as open, all playing into these things that, again, you're catering to this audience that gravitates to these kind of tropes and I guess approaches to personality that it connects really well with I think the kids reading it, the hype that's alongside it, because it does those tropes pretty well.
it's hard to talk about some of that stuff for me because I really don't have experience.
Yeah.
But just evaluating him as a character divorced from tropes, he just sucks. And it's not.
Aki or Denji?
I'm sorry, Denji.
Okay.
It's not really fun. Well, I didn't find fun in who he is. Like I didn't like the antics, and the fact that his whole agenda. Look, say what you want. I like stories where there's some depth. I like stories where the characters have interesting goals and something to say. And I thought that this was going down that road with Volume 1. And there's aspects like the Gun Devil. I'm sure we'll get to that. I have a lot of positive things to say about. But Denji as a character basically sets the tone for the book. Basically sets the sort of the idea of what this book is. And I just really don't like it. Like I want there to be more. I want him to be more, and that's just not the case.
What did you guys? So I mean, we talked about Aki, we talked about Denji. I guess there's probably maybe 3 other big characters in this. Power is probably our other character we get the most out of, and she's an interesting one. She is a fiend, I believe is the term.
Yes.
It feels like I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I summon a fiend.
Phenomenal name for a type of character. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Power's awesome.
Yeah.
Power was the comic relief when the main character is too stupid and annoying and everybody else is really serious. Power was the character who could get a laugh out of me basically every time she talked. Down to the way she's lettered was funny to me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The
Did you
fiends
notice a
and the
lot of that?
devils. Yeah.
Sean, just in general about like the different ways that they use the like lettering for characters and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The other standout one was whenever a character was like freaking out or whatever, like the lettering would change. I love that stuff. But they do that in American comics.
Yeah.
It was well done.
And it's so much bigger in manga, like in general, because of the translations and the shifts in writing.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to
Because
notice.
you're trying to capture like inflection and tone in a lot of it, so you need some of the dynamicism.
And it's also a book without color. You need something to draw your eyes in certain places.
Yeah, great point.
Can I just really quick talk about that? So when I first started reading the book, Volume 1 I was reading on Shonen Jump, and the first few pages were in color. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, let's get it. This is nice. And then it went to black and white, and I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Welcome to the manga experience, man.
Oh boy, I don't know how you guys do it.
Get a
What
tease,
is
that's it.
what is that like for you though, Sean? Like in it being not colored, it's a flat black and white book. Does that affect your reading at all?
Yeah, I don't like black and white. I like to see color, Tyler.
We're not talking about mutants right now. I don't need to talk about me not seeing color, okay?
Yeah, I really, really wish that it had been in color. I probably would have enjoyed it more.
So Power is one of the characters that we get introduced to. We'll talk, and I would say the other big female lead would be Makima, who is this, at least up until Volume 3, a very mysterious character.
Marco,
Yeah.
it is so hard to talk about any of this. It is so hard.
I know, and I'm trying my best. Like I'm looking up names and stuff just to make sure I get names. And I'm like, I don't want any fucking spoilers in any of this.
Shit just goes down, man.
But
Makima's
Makima,
the boss, right?
Yeah.
she's the boss.
Yeah.
I don't trust her. I don't trust her.
Good.
Little weird. But Makima brought up. So I guess text-wise, Makima is one of the leaders of the devil hunters that work for the government, and she recruits Denji after his post-Chainsaw Man transformation, gives him a job, gives him food, Treats him like a dog, quite literally. I did have a question from Matt Murphy regarding that. Sean, he would like to know if you would bark for Makima.
That is a phenomenal question, and I have had 2 beers, so I'm actually going to answer that and say yes if I had 4 beers.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're in volume 2, having those beers with everyone on the table, which is my favorite interaction. I want to talk about that, but yeah, Makima is an interesting character. She is this powerful boss, but somewhat nurturing to Denji at the same time. And it's a theme that I am seeing throughout Fujimoto's work, from what I've read. I read Goodbye Eri as well. And she kind of personifies this idea of, I guess, the girl boss that Fujimoto likes. In Goodbye Eri, there's also this kind of domineering woman who is nurturing at the same time, which is what Makima was. And I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone else has noticed this. Fujimoto's come out and said it himself. Let's see. He's writing his follow-up to Chainsaw Man currently, which is going to be revolving around the subject of a femme fatale, another trope that he likes. And let me just find the quote here. In part 2
wait till you get to the bomb devil.
Oh boy, yeah. In part 2 of the interview that was published in Jump, the author said that he liked domineering an irrational woman, and that he wanted to have women in higher positions than men. And quoted, I also like domineering an irrational woman. In college, there was a girl who was mean to me, and then one day at school, my bicycle had fallen over. I was wondering what happened when she said, I knocked your bike over, ha ha ha. I was so happy. Fujimoto said it in an interview.
Oh,
that doesn't sound
right.
like he likes domineering women. That's like he likes to be submissive. And I feel like, because I don't read like in Eri or in Makima that she's necessarily domineering in this.
She has him
What?
bark for things.
But it's
Usually I pay for that.
but it's him
I would watch
doing like doing nothing to put something in place. There's no barrier. He's just gonna do a thing because he's just gonna do a thing. He has no worth, like self-worth, to say no or to disagree.
You don't think that's domineering, though, in her characterization? I have more
think
quotes by
it's-
Fujimoto, by the way.
I think it speaks more to Denji than it does necessarily to Makima.
Wow.
What?
Victim
I
blaming.
think
Okay,
that
hold on. I'm sorry. If someone has no self-worth, right, and then you say bark for me,
Right.
That's their fault for having no
dominating them.
self-worth.
you're dominating them.
Yeah, Marco's making me look up the definition of domineering just to be sure I
Is
know
it-
what it means.
So, can I read another Fujimoto quote?
Yes.
I feel closer to Agni or Denji. I don't know who Agni is. From Chainsaw Man, especially their masochistic tendencies, which translates in their respective submission to insane female characters like Makima.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah, that's what we're saying.
But he's also saying like he's saying that it's being submissive to them versus not.
Okay,
Where-
so what? Okay, so in a dom sub, what does dom mean? What is that short for? Dom sub. What is dom
sure,
short?
yeah, for you're domineering, but I
Oh,
mean,
that's what that means? I thought it meant Dominic, and it was just an Italian sub.
but like you also have to be submissive in order to be in that position, right? You already have to be in that state of mind. Denji
But
already has to be. I'm not disagreeing that she isn't. I'll take that back.
Okay. All right.
Okay. But I think the way it's focused more so on Denji's submission than her.
So you
being-
think, like, this image that I'll post it for you, Marco, the back image of Volume 1 of Denji literally in a collar,
right?
is more a reflection of him rather than the people who have put the collar on.
Yes, because he enjoys it. He takes some sort of relish out of it.
What? Why do you think that?
I-
Where are you
that's-
getting that from?
That's some backwards ass.
Yeah, that's some like pro empire talk. Like,
Yeah.
So, from what I've been reading of Fujimoto's quotes here, I think Marco might be onto something because I think the writer himself is a masochist. He likes being domineered by women. So writing the POV character is his POV. And then these women, these domineering girl boss, gatekeep, eat hot chip women are just forces of nature that help bring out his masochistic tendencies. I think you're talking subtext, Marco. I think the text is she's fucking bossing him around and doing what she wants to get out of him. Yeah.
The thing that is lacking from this conversation is a discussion about power dynamics. You can't talk about this without discussing the fact that she's his boss. He has to do what she says.
True.
So of course it's domineering. You can't get sex out of it because there's no way for him to consent to that because she's telling him if you don't do this, you'll die.
What really sold me on this is this definition. Let me just read it real quick because I do think it will help.
The definition of
domineering.
Okay.
Asserting one's will over another in an arrogant way. For me, it's the arrogance. Like that really sells the it's more than dominance. It's domineering.
Marco's got the real masochist view on this, doesn't he?
Listen, maybe Marco's revealing something today.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I think. But even remember, if you guys remember Goodbye Eri, Eri was kind of the one that would force the male POV to into action constantly. He would have been fine just being a weirdo, but she's the one that kind of gets him to do all the things that moves the plot forward, which is kind of what's happening here.
Oh, right.
And
yeah, I mean, look, I feel like every single like or manga I've ever read or anime that I've ever seen, which is very little, has characters like that. Like I think that's a cultural thing.
There is an agent of, a movement.
I'm saying that there. I was referring to like the idea of the woman as, maybe domineering or controlling or the boss.
Yeah.
If you look at like Dragon Ball, like the mother is always the one, or the girlfriend, or the wife. So I certainly think that's at play, but I think that it's a fetishization of women as dominators for meek, submissive men.
Sure. Yeah. It's tsundere in like the trope being that very much like.
You got to speak some English to me, pal.
But that's the trope. Like
don't Google it, Sean.
No, you can Google it. It's context, and
I think I'm getting confused with something else. I'm googling it right now.
TSUND.
I know how it's spelled. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I was thinking of something much different. Oh boy. I'll tell you off mic about what I was thinking of.
Even those pieces, that's part of the trope.
Okay, yeah, that does seem to track.
It is a frequent trope in it. Even like Evangelion, another one where that trope exists. Or Bulma as a character, that trope exists.
Yeah,
she does the same to Vegeta,
Yeah, Bulma, even Chi-Chi to some degree.
Yeah. And
But
you don't think Vegeta's like low turned on by it, guys? Like,
yeah, dog.
I think that's a part of their relationship. Yeah,
he wouldn't be there if he wasn't.
It's true. Yeah. But there is the certain part of Makima that really jumps out to me is like there is that trope of the strong woman leading or guiding the male character to drive the plot forward. But there is a tinge of nurturing manipulation that is in this that is unsettling with her character. And I think it sets her apart from other femme fatales in shonen manga. Because something don't smell good. And it's not the barf down Denji's throat. Something else doesn't smell good.
I was so glad that was in this reading of that book.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's what I was looking for when I hit volume. When I was looking for the end point of what we should read.
Well, maybe that's a good point because I want to talk about that whole scene in the bar because there are scenes splintered throughout these 3 volumes that are, it literally goes from giant action scene, bloody, demons, devils, fiends, whatever other trap cards, magic cards, whatever other thing you want to throw in there. And then these really slow moments that are more, I guess, slice of life in a way. Because we get a good chunk that is just a whole bunch of coworkers at a bar drinking and having fun. That was probably my favorite bit of the whole book, or what I've read so far.
Those are fun sequences. It helps you get to know the characters. It helps you see how they interact, because otherwise you just see them sort of in like one context. I mean, it happens in comics too, like you have the in between scenes. But I think this is, this is just like the way to tell or share context or to share character moments in manga is in an office, in a school. Like these are just the environments.
I felt like I was reading an RPG.
Playing Persona.
In the sense that, like, it reminded me of like Final Fantasy, and a lot of those other games, Kingdom Hearts, games where
Well, this game actually, this book made sense though, not like Kingdom Hearts.
I guess, yeah. If they connect you to the characters through those smaller moments where you do get to have those cutesy interactions. But then even in battle, they find ways to inject those character moments into the story. If you're Denji, if the reader is Denji, all these other characters are the NPCs or the supporting characters in the game that you develop feelings for. Not necessarily like sexually, but like emotional attachment to. And I guess the reason why I'm using that kind of comparison here, whereas I probably wouldn't for a Western comic, is because it feels like that's more of the focus. Whereas I think in Western comics, the focus tends to be more, the big action, or the moment would be more somber. Here, it's more playful. Like, when was the last time you saw the Avengers just chilling? You don't get a lot of stuff like that, I feel like, in Western comics. And it was refreshing because I haven't read a story that had cool action, but then also like, hey, let's just go have a drink together and make out and be stupid. Like, I actually think, and this might surprise some people, I would love to see Western comics take a little bit of that. I really would.
Imagine we got to see the X-Men just have dinner.
Yo,
Well,
I think Hickman actually did a little bit of
happen.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, genuinely, that was what people liked about Claremont's run. Like,
The baseball
they would
games.
have baseball games, and that's the appeal of the old Teen Titans and the Legion of Superheroes, is all the little relationships and little moments between the actual characters, fueled by the superhero action. They were soap operas.
So I think a good place to inject another question by Matt. This is a serious question, not about barking. But he asked, after reading Goodbye Eri, how do you feel about the pacing of Chainsaw Man versus Fujimoto's one-shot work? Look back in Goodbye Eri are tight, slow-paced, deeply emotional pieces of fiction, and Chainsaw Man has the energy, imagination, and pacing of a 13-year-old boy who got his first boner after drinking a Mountain Dew. That sounds like a self-report, Matt. Do you prefer the examinations of loss and experimentation in storytelling, or the shonen explosion?
I was so expecting this book to have the weight of Goodbye Eri that when I realized it wasn't, I was like really genuinely let down. Because again, it starts in such a way where it's like you're hit back to back with these things. And as soon as you get to the point where he decides that he wants to, kiss a girl, it just loses all of that weight. It gets it back when they introduce the concept of the gun devil. And I can't wait to talk about that. Like, that was like, oh shit. All right. Wow.
Well, talk about it.
There's something here. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, damn, I might have, like, depending on where these the volume 3 ends, I might need to read more by myself because I need to see what happens with that. It had so much weight to it. The way they introduced the concept of the gun devil, where it's like all these people died, 1 million people died, and I felt like it was supposed to evoke 9/11.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get.
Definitely
yeah.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Which I
evoked
always
any
love.
American kind of tragedy at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
I love a 9/11 illusion or Tyler, oh my
So I
god.
think we
Click that.
yeah,
I love 9/11.
got a new TikTok there.
So it was working for me on all levels, and then the fact that the hunters specifically wanted to take down this devil, like that was the big fish, gave the story an end game that now I'm aware of. It's no different than like Ash's end game being the Elite Four, wanting to be, you know, the world champion of Pokemon. Yugi's end game wanting to be, you know, the best of all time. Like, if it gave me that vibe, maybe they don't fight it until 50 chapters from now. I have no idea. But the fact that I know that that's where the story is going for sure made me feel like I want to get to wherever that is. And then it didn't happen in volume 3. And I was like, ah, shit, I got to read more.
I mean,
So,
when
like-
we get
like,
introduced
it
to
didn't-
that sword devil, though, and like I was like, oh shit, like yeah, it's not Gun Devil, but this guy's pretty fucking cool.
It introduced you, or like you got the idea, like you got their idea, you like aligned with the goal, and it felt like a rallying cry.
Exactly.
Yes, dude. Yes. Oh man, that's the fun about. For me, that's a big fun piece about manga, is that when it's something like this, like an adventure or a team or whatever it might be, is that you invest in what they're invested in, because you saw them go through it. You feel why, and you're like, yeah, you know what, fuck them, or yeah, you can fucking do it. And that's, I think, the one thing that, to Matt's question about like whether or not I'm reading a long form story or a short form story for Fujimoto, I think he's able to get you behind some character's mission or end goal. And Eri was about the preserving his mother's memory, and then it switches to, you know, preserving Eri's reality, and then he's able to invest you into something, and that drives the book. And for me, I think that's genuinely a lot of fun and something he does really, really well, regardless of how you're reading him. But I think I like that tighter feel, because this felt way too extended. There could have been ways to condense this and still get emotional, and potentially get emotional beats out of it.
I mean, I'll say I just prefer the Goodbye Eri because it is it's bite size, honestly, just easier. But I can see this being that idea, just stretched out across a much larger story, because there are those bits that that felt like Goodbye Eri. The part where we get Aki's backstory, the part where we the very end, eye patch woman,
Himeno.
when she does her thing and looks like sacrifices herself. Like, there are those beats that are like, oh fuck, and there are those page turns that are like, oh shit, that I got in Goodbye Eri. Like, specifically the Goodbye Eri scene where the mom thing happens. I don't want to say exactly what it is, but when that happens, like, that was like an oh shit page turn for me. And I think there are little ones in here, strewn throughout, where like I don't think I really have to pick whether I like the Shonen Explosion or the longer emotional examination, because it's kind of a bit of both in this, from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I feel like if this had that same vibe, if it took itself as seriously, then sure. Like, there's such different stories that I don't know that I think this is worse just because it's long form. Does that make sense? Like,
Sure. Yeah. It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to get to a couple more questions on here. Do you understand? So this is by Yezis in the Discord. Do you understand why this is bigger than superhero comics? And I don't know if they're saying Chainsaw Man is bigger than superhero comics, or shonen manga, or manga in general are bigger than superhero comics. They didn't really elaborate on that point. But where do you guys lie on this side of the debate? You know, I mean, I guess it's not really a debate because numbers wise, we can tell it is bigger. But I guess getting why is a different story.
I got one word for you.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. So I have a few thoughts. Number one, I absolutely get why it's bigger because I spent 10 was this $10? This was $10, right? And then I spent, and this was neg to do. I didn't even realize because I could have just spent $3 and gotten a Shonen Jump membership. And actually, I could spend nothing because I could just cancel my trial and be done with it, right?
Yep.
And I would have read 27 volumes, but I stopped because we were done. I could have read the whole thing for free, right? You can't do that with American comics. What big two trade are you getting for $10? Which one? None. No way. There's no not MSRP. Maybe if it's marked down at Comic-Con or whatever, sure. But MSRP, that's not happening.
Yeah.
That right there is a massive, massive problem, right? But then on top of that, who is this written for? This is written for the same people that Yu-Gi-Oh's written for, which is huge. The same people that Dragon Ball's written for, which is huge. Horny kids. That's who this is written for. And people that want to heavily binge something, right? Modern superhero comics are not written for those people. And guess what? When they were, they made more money.
So you're saying, so your argument is the big two is not horny enough.
Of course they're not.
I like this way of thinking. Yeah.
I don't think that's the reason. I think accessibility too. Look what we did.
Sure.
We went on shonenjump.com. We started a trial, or we paid $2.99 or whatever it is, and we read the whole thing. And it's all there. It's very linear and streamlined. There's no thought involved. It's completely brainless.
I would even say in the print version, format-wise with manga, look at this. I'm one-handing this. I can read this with one hand. I can read this while I'm walking around. I can read this while I'm cooking, while I'm commuting. Like, I would read manga on the train in college because it was easier to carry around the book. Just in terms of the way it's made, it's more accessible. And if it's more accessible, I'm going to read more of it because I have more time to do it. If I want to read Sandman, that's an ordeal. I literally have to lift weights and grab it off my my bookshelf, put it down on a table. Like that, there is more of a process involved with that. There's a process with even, every Wednesday getting books, Tuesday for DC. Still not fucking used to that. Where it's a process. With Shonen Jump, it's all in one spot. I read it on my phone and it worked on my phone well. Again, another one-handed experience. Where, like, if I'm the average Joe Schmo, I can take in so much manga at once just from one subscription, which doesn't exist. It's just the accessibility of the medium, I think, is why it's so big.
It's also in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. Well, I even think like the accessibility of the format, but also the accessibility of the story. It's such a evergreen story concept. I mean, sure, you have ones about ninjas, ones about, half monkey people, and, ones about devils. But like the themes in it are so universal that I think it's accessible in that regard as well.
Yeah. Agreed with everything you guys said. That's, I think, the probably largest contributor to it is, can I get it easy? Can I get it cheap? And is it good? Yeah.
I do have a follow-up take, though.
Yeah.
Which is that I don't actually think they're bigger in terms of cultural relevance or impact.
No, I agree with that.
And I think that is...
Sorry. What is bigger?
Manga. I think compared to maybe not superhero comics, but superheroes, which would include superhero comics, so that's where they came from, are bigger. And that to me carries more weight. Like, this doesn't compare to what superheroes are or do, or the impact of them or the notoriety of them. If we're simply comparing a manga, right? Manga to superhero comics, like the thing itself and what it sells, absolutely. But in terms of impact, superhero comics, in my mind, have to be it dwarfs manga.
I think to that, superheroes beyond the comics right now are such a common theme that I think, to your culture point, that has been one of the mythologies that has been spread so well.
Right.
It's everywhere, so much so that My Hero Academia is a manga about a superhero school. Like, it has permeated that. On Webtoons was where you could find all that kind of stuff in a manga styling. It's permeated into the culture that I would say, in a similar fashion, Scott Pilgrim brought that kind of aesthetic and style to a more Western story, where, you know, we've been consuming Dragon Ball Z since the 90s. Or the 80s even, right? That's Scott Pilgrim was in 2011, the movie, let's say, and the manga 2002. And so there's a time advantage to it as well that has allowed it to just exist in the cultural zeitgeist.
I think you're saying, Sean, like the Superman is more recognizable than I guess Luffy from One Piece or something, arguably.
Sure. I mean,
sure.
I think that's pretty hard to contest.
I agree, but also, like, you think, like, and then I'm like, Superman or Pikachu? Like, I see trajectory wise though, I think, like, one's on the up and the other's not. You know, I think then you throw in, Kurt Angle in the mix. No, you throw in Disney and Marvel in the mix, and I think you have an unstoppable cultural beast there, which I agree that is based in superhero comics, which in turn helped influence manga, which now manga is then going back and influencing Western comics. So there's this cyclical,
A symbiosis.
of influence going on. Yeah,
as it should be. You see how something like Static was influenced by manga, and it was a huge success, and was also pretty cool. And I really enjoyed that, and I can see not a lot, but some of those influences coming through now that I'm reading a little bit more of this stuff through the show.
Yeah. So I want to get to one of Nihilus' questions, which I think he might be surprised. How annoyed are you that you had to read it? Not.
I'm so annoyed. So annoyed.
Man, you're just trying to get him to stay as a patron at this point. You're just.
If you think I care,
but, like,
you'd be shocked.
Annoyed.
Then we will take your $7 a month.
I don't think annoyed works because it was a quick read. Like, it's much easier reading this than it was Thor: God of Thunder previously.
Look, we joke around and stuff, but, like, you read a good story. Someone said it earlier. You read a good story and, like, it's good, and that's that. And, like, I think this was a good story? I don't know if I think it was a good story, but I enjoyed it. Like, I didn't hate it. It is what it is. Like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, and if it's well done one way or the other, there's something that you could work off of for sure.
I'm never gonna hate something off the basis of what it is. Like, I'm not gonna hate something off the basis of it being a manga. It's gonna be an impediment towards me wanting to engage with it. But if I have to, which I did now, I'm gonna evaluate it on its merits.
So I want to get into the Harris the Night Stalker Power Hour here with a couple questions. Has this made new weebs upon reading? Marco, would you consider yourself a weeb? I think it's
by no stretch of the imagination. I don't. Yeah.
You don't hide it.
I don't hide it.
Yeah. Kale, I'm curious. You like Ultraman? That's pretty weeby?
Is it?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, that counts.
Well, maybe then.
That's like the art house weeb. You know what I mean? Like,
you like Gojira?
Well, what do I have? 2 eyes and a heart.
There you go. Okay.
No, Gojira is the Japanese name for Godzilla. Marco's showing off.
I thought it was. I thought it was
I
God.
was
I
being
thought
a
it was
little cute.
Godzuki.
Oh wait, no, it's Shin Godzilla. It's the movie. I was referring to the movie. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would say I dabble, but if you consider, tokusatsu weeb shit, then yeah, I guess so. Paint me with that brush, then. Like,
I don't think I'd call myself a weeb just yet. I think there is weeb in me, or you want there to be. But like, I think I have the potential for weeb. I have the midichlorian count for weeb. Just it's not unlocked yet. I need some training. Sean, you're a weeb, right?
Huh. No, hell no.
All right, team hell no. All right, another question from Harris. What part of the story stood out the most to you?
Two answers. One is when they sort of break down the gun devil thing. That was very, very impactful. I really enjoyed that. And then the whole saga with the Eternity Devil. That was sick. That was really, really cool. It's cooler in concept, I think, than what actually happens. But we haven't talked about it, but the horror in this story is really well done. And so some of the stuff that we saw during that fight was pretty cool visually. And then, the antics of the team of like, oh, should we, kill them ourselves or whatever. And then the sort of small psychological horror aspect of the fact that they keep looping, I really enjoyed. Like, I felt like, oh shit, like I don't know what is about to happen.
And how are they going to get out of this? That's what hooked me the first time. It's like, I genuinely can't figure this out.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the Eternity Devil was the one that jumps out to me the most too, because I literally felt claustrophobic during that arc. Like I think the pacing on that story really works because it almost feels like, when Sonic the Hedgehog's drowning, and it's like a slow like din din, or like Jaws, it's like that slow build and like these things just start getting really hectic, and then by the end of the story, it's like, oh shit, I can't breathe anymore. But then they're okay. But yeah, that there's some tension there that gets built that is honestly scarier than the actual devil itself. The devil is just some gross Cronenbergian thing. But the feeling that is in that, I think, is what got me.
For me, it was the twist at the end, the utter assault of on our main characters. It's just that was the point for me. I'm like, holy shit, what the where is this book going?
Yeah.
How could you have topped what just happened, and we're still going at this like that? That was the moment for me.
Marco, does he keep topping himself in this throughout? That sounded weird. Like, is that the kind of pacing that goes throughout this that I can look forward to?
I would say so. Yeah, it definitely does. It beat after beat, arc after arc, it heats and continues to heat up.
Huh.
So you were talking about the weight earlier of like something like Goodbye Eri and versus the shonen stuff. There's an arc coming up where Denji sort of meets someone on his level, not like in they're a shitty brat or whatever, but like someone who is a teenager and wants to interact with him as like a potential partner, and is like they're the same age, and they're also a devil, and shit gets real. And guys, you want to talk about twists?
Don't.
I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word. I'm just saying.
I can see you fighting it.
It's
wow. The end, man. I'm telling you.
So is this done? Chainsaw Man?
The first part is done.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
Fujimoto has just started releasing the second part, which is I think chapter 99.
Yeah.
98 as of last week.
Okay. And I know the anime comes out this year at some point.
Something
Yes.
like that, yeah.
which the
Oh,
trailer
that-
looks insane on
Yo,
that.
yeah.
That will be this section. This
Yeah.
97
Okay.
chapters. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Sean,
could
you
be
got to
fun.
watch that trailer. It's
It's cool, dude.
it's
The art
bonkers.
style, it's
Yeah.
Mappa doing it. They did Attack on Titan. Like,
Yeah,
Oh, so this will be in color.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, full
Ooh.
color.
Oh, okay. All right.
now you're speaking his language.
There we go.
Yeah.
Back on the hook.
The thing that stands out the most to me is the barf.
Oh yeah,
That
the
fucked me up.
barf.
Whoa.
You ever read the Junji Ito barf or the pimple stories?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Ugh.
So another Harris question for a new reader or old: what can you objectively say that would draw someone new to the genre of this book? How do we hook people in like we've been hooked?
So
I would say
The-
new,
the
someone new
genre
to the
of-
genre of, I guess, shonen manga. Let's just say that to want to pick up this book.
Okay.
I
Sean-
would say. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Sean's gonna tell him to start a podcast, do a couple hundred episodes, and then you'll get to it.
Right.
And then against your will.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't really feel like this is for everybody, but I think that, I personally, I don't think that there's anything in here that's like so good that I'm just like there's nothing specific that I can say like, oh my god, this is why. I think if you read, if you're if you're a person who's already inclined to enjoy these kinds of stories, this is probably like a lot of those other ones. You know, if it has the DNA of stuff that I have seen before. So it's not new hat, right? It's the same old shit, just with different characters and themes or whatever. And you know, people that like action, people that like people that are horny, I guess, like, you know, yeah. Like, look, I just turned to a random page, and that's what's
Oh,
on
you
the page.
turned to the
I
page.
mean, are you kidding me? And it's
Amazing.
a page. It's Denji groping Makima. Like, come on.
Yeah. How did you feel about that? The
grope?
sexual stuff.
He's
well,
16, so I felt weird about it,
Yeah.
and I don't understand why no one talks about that.
Oh, they bring it up in this book, specifically the part where Eye Patch Woman again.
Yeah, Jimeno.
Yeah,
She's,
but like,
she's like I didn't force myself on you last night, did I? Did we have sex? No. Okay, good. I'm legally fine. Like,
I meant like outside of the book, no one talks about. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird. Like, it just gets a pass. He's touching and engaging sexually with grown women.
Yeah,
I
I guess
mean-
I don't know. I definitely don't want to defend it, but I guess the idea, I guess, is similar to other shonen mangas, that the ages are a bit unclear. Like Makima could be the same age,
I mean,
you know.
the age of
like-
consent in Japan is 13.
Well,
So throwing that out there as
that
well.
could-
So then why
could
did she
have-
say I'm legally fine? Oh, because of
No.
the translation.
Probably.
Maybe,
Probably.
or
Yeah,
maybe
that does
because
make
it would be actual rape. Like, even if it's not statutory, it's also actual. But besides the point, yeah. I agree with Sean. I'm not sure this is for everyone. Like, there are friends that I have that I would not recommend this to because I just know it's not their jam. But I think, like, I would honestly recommend a Shonen Jump subscription and say, hey, this is a good book that you can read on it. But I would recommend the subscription over anything, really. I think this is fun. I think it's stupid. A little horned up, too. But I had fun reading it. It was a page turner for me, for sure.
For me, I think one of the ways in is the art. That was a big thing for me in this book. Is he's just really dynamic. He has clean lines. Sometimes I think his forms get out of shape with character faces. In particular, the humans. The monsters were, I think, almost always disgusting and done very, very well and
The
rendered
leech
well.
one? Ugh.
Which one?
The leech one that just shows up
yeah,
saying, hey, kill
yeah.
my boyfriend. You know, like...
Oh yeah.
Like it's all in a really I think fluid style, which works for the book, especially when you get into the chainsaws and things are just like flying everywhere. You can still make out the shapes because you can recognize it amongst sort of the hectic nature of the environment sometimes. I think that's the appeal for me outside of the story sometimes, where maybe I'm not feeling the narration or I'm not feeling the scene, the action, or the art that translates it, I think will bring me back in.
Okay, how do you sell this?
Chainsaws, man. I think
Let's end the show right there.
I think for me it's the horror angle on a shonen title.
Okay.
If you're already into shonen but you want something that leans a little gory, a little horror-y, then I think that's where I would go.
I agree with that.
Because I think especially if you're going to start it out, you probably need shonen experience to get to where we did, basically. Like it would be difficult to hand, volume 1 to my mom and be like, no, volume 3, you're going to love this.
That's fair. Yeah. I think there will be no reason to sell it once the anime comes out. I think this is going to be one of those things that's like huge.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be like Demon Slayer huge, I feel.
I think it already is.
I don't know about that.
I smell it. Just like I smell those gun devil little giblets.
The fucking volumes have only just come back on sale after being, a huge manga shortage.
Yeah, I feel like everybody talks about this thing. Like it's like everywhere.
You couldn't buy volume 1. Like
I couldn't buy volume 1 or 3. They only had
Fair
2
enough.
and 5. That's all they had.
for them not to have a volume 1 is wild.
Yeah, man.
Well, traditionally, 1s and 2s are the hardest for
Any of them.
bookstores to have with manga.
And Bibles.
Because of our reasoning.
So I guess we'll end it with one final question from Harris, which is which gal do you select to be a waifu? Harris, that's the weirdest way to ask that question, but let's answer it.
This is the one you want to end it on?
Yeah, that's what we're ending on. We're ending it on a high note, weird note. Well, I can go first to break this ice if you want.
Go ahead. I mean, I'm down too, but go ahead.
I'm going to say Makima for the same reasons Fujimoto mentioned.
That's tough, yeah.
Power, hopefully of age.
Okay, well, we're under the assumption. All right, Marco, like, Jesus.
Just in case.
Isn't she a demon?
Yeah, she's a fiend. Technically, she doesn't age because she's a corpse, isn't she? Isn't she a corpse that is then possessed by a
That's
devil?
worse, Tyler.
She's a corpse. She's dead. She's a
Listen,
fiend.
listen, Marco, you're the corpse fucker.
Whoa. Power.
Yep. Oh. Sticking to it.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely Makima. Also, I want to see how deep the mind fuck can go.
I was gonna say really something really fucked up. Never mind.
I want to hear that.
No, I'll tell you later.
All right.
We'll get it on a palin around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, since I've read the whole thing, I'm gonna leap just a little bit further ahead, and I'm gonna say the Bomb Devil.
Okay. Something seems buxom about a bomb devil.
Like Bombshell Devil?
That's what I'm feeling.
Listen, and he has volume 6, so
I might get to that tonight
far.
for all I know.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you should.
All right.
But yeah, that's our book club on Chainsaw Man volumes 1 to 3. You can expect volumes 4 to 10 next month.
That is not true.
Yeah, because we'll have to
I'm
cover
lying.
11.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 10 leaves you on a cliffhanger.
big one.
But yeah, thanks patrons for voting on this book. for this month. Again, you can get us at patreon.com/thecomicspals if you want to influence the vote going forward. Berserk was on there this past month. So if you want to have Sean read more books that aren't in color, it can skew that way if you want. Or you can even vote for Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is going to be infinitely an option on the polls. If you want. So there's some engagement there that you can do to kind of guide the show with your wallet and support. But yeah, until next month. We don't know who the book is yet, do we?
Not yet.
Nope.
Not
You
yet.
have to
No.
vote.
Okay. Yeah, vote's coming up. But yeah, until next month, we'll see you around for another Comics Pals book club.
Take care, guys.
See you next month.